So, quick status update. We have jumps. Can swap back and forth between jumping and running. Excellent. Problem is, the transition between the two states. Actually, I don't know how well this is showing up on stream, but maybe you'll be able to see it. When we switch between the two states, there's jittering. There's several problems. Actually, it used to be worse, but especially bad. Hang on. Especially bad the first time you load up a game. The runner moves really out of position for one frame. It's just one frame, but it's every single jump. And I kind of hate it. I may as well recompile, try and show you again. So I haven't figured out exactly the best way to slow this down, so I don't know. Hopefully it will show up on stream, but the first time I jump, the runner is really out of place for one frame. Sometimes when I do other jumps, and also the position just kind of randomly fluctuates. Any animations in particular that we're looking at? It's not about the animations themselves so much as swapping between them. And tonight is about can we make the transition between animations not do that? And I've figured out some things, like there's a bit of code that's only run if in a certain case, and if I comment out that code, it gets better. It was doing okay. Honestly, the first example I showed was probably the best, but it still was not perfect. Now the thing is, literally all of this is because it is trying to allow this upward-downward bouncing motion. That if we were to turn off the upward and downward bouncing motion, as I'm about to do here, well, without bouncing, the animation looks worse. And the jump looks much, much worse. But the transition between the two states is perfectly smooth. There's no weird, out-of-place single frame. And so it's... What's wrong here? Why... It can do the bouncing stuff normally, without transitioning between the two animations. It gets it right. That's a nice up and down motion. It's consistent. Everything's there. And as long as we keep jumping, well, ignoring the fact that the camera's off now, yeah. Well, okay, I am stressing out about it a little bit, but mostly I'm explaining the problem. Start the stream, explain what's wrong that I'm going to try and fix. because I do have an idea. The thing is, the question I was asking myself is, it can get this right. Clearly, it can get this right. And it can get other details right, like the bouncing motion comes from this piece moving up and down. Well, bounce, bounce, bounce like that. And it's perfectly fine when the antenna move, when the legs move, when the arms move. It gets all of those 100% correct. The arms and legs are all exactly where they should be on the body. They don't teleport around or anything. It's just that one thing. So, like there are workarounds and partial workarounds, but really what occurred to me is it's trying to handle this piece differently from this piece. Zoom in. It's trying to handles this piece in a unique way, whereas it handles all the other pieces in a consistent working way. And it's just this piece, the one that moves the entire body, that does not work. And so my thought is that what if it wasn't that piece? Add single bone. Oh. Where's this bone? Okay. Well, okay. Let's back up a step. The reason it handles this piece, this bone, differently from literally any other bone is because this is the top level one. Moving this moves every single other, well, not in this mode. What if this one, the one that moves everything, was not the top level bone that got special treatment? What if it just got normal treatment? And another bone that never moves is the top level one. The trick is figuring out how to do that. Okay. And the animation is exactly the same. There is now just a single extra bone that does nothing. It just sits there at 0. And it stays there. And it's always there. And maybe this. It doesn't affect the animation. It's just there. Maybe this will fix that. So let me just double check the settings, but yeah, I think we just use the default settings. And we give it a shot. And it's off by 90 degrees. I don't know why that is, but we can fix a 90-degree rotation pretty easily. Okay. It's still wrong. Which is really weird because... Oh, It is still relying on that. I don't quite have an ETA. But we're definitely getting there. As far as an ETA goes. Oh, I know. I think I have to add this, and I might have to do one more step after this. Sorry, ETA. Check back, or keep an eye out for a stream that I'm going to title something along the lines of putting the pieces together. The pieces in this case. Okay, so we are back to being rotated in the other direction, so I will undo the rotation, or redo the rotation. I undid the rotation last time. So now we have bouncy animations, and the transition is nice and smooth. Absolutely perfect. No frame that's off. What I'm referring to when I say putting the pieces together, animations are one piece. The model is one piece. I've already attached the model to the animations. You now see that. The tunnel is another piece. I was working on those separately. The physics are another piece. I have not quite done the physics yet, but I've got a lot of pieces that make up a game, and most of them are nearing completion, so when it comes time to put them together, that means we're getting close to release. That said, we're not done tonight, because the transitions are wrong. Does not jump instantly when you press space. It jumps only at the end of a run cycle, and, well, that's wrong. It needs to jump instantly. Another part of... Well, okay, we're doing several things tonight. We're also going to look at possible transition animations. What's called crossfading, which means taking one animation and a little more slowly moving to the other. Honestly, that doesn't look bad, but let's extend the crossfade. It was about a third of a second. Let's make a longer crossfade so we can actually see it. Well, yeah, the physics are giving character run 1 stats. Well, that's a really slow crossfade. But, well, depending on the direction it's going, I didn't actually expect to use that, but I might have to. So we're going to make 2 different transitions, one of which is going to be like a... I think we're done with Blender for now. One of which is going to be a 0.2 second transition, and another which is going to be a... I don't know, I think 0.9 was a little slow. Let's do 0.8. If we're moving into the jump animation, we will do the slow transition. But if we're moving out of the jump animation, we will do the quick transition. Just because it looked bad when the other thing happened. So what's going on, you can still see the running animation as part of the jump animation. and the limbs move smoothly into that animation. And except for the fact that you can't see the legs push off at all, looks pretty cool. So we'll leave that for now. But we're going to do a we're going to switch it. First off, we're going to switch it just so that it instantly reacts to keyboard events. Key down. Key dot. Oh. Well. Okay, we're gonna do that. Okay, so right now we're doing that for jumping. We do need to go back and copy some code because I want actually, wait a minute. We're going to start the run animation on a random frame because we can. And we're going to program it correctly. Okay. I'm going to catch up with the chat for a second. 2022. I am hoping it's a lot shorter than that. Okay. I mean, all of this will be helpful in getting out an update for Run 3 and Run 2. Okay, this is a... Oh. We're getting cycle complete events way too quickly. Let's look up some other animation. Stop. We're going to try stop. Nope, we're stuck in the jump animation. Oh, okay. I need to figure out how to detect when the animation finished. Or maybe I don't. I can just shortcut it. We're gonna set it for 2 seconds. It loops. Why does it loop? Okay, we're gonna copy that. Maybe if it didn't loop. Jump should not loop. But isn't that the default? Oh, no, it loops by default. Okay. So we need to make it not loop, and then maybe we can go back to running once the jump animation ends. No, it stops. Okay, we're going to do a 2-second wait. Two seconds is too long. One and a half seconds. That's close. Ignore the little pause at the end, and it's pretty good. So let's take off I don't know, a 1/10 of a second. I mean, there are a few similarities between Hacks and JavaScript, but Hacks is Hacks is like JavaScript in that they're both vaguely C-like languages. But Hacks is, well, does a lot more with objects than JavaScript does. I still need to take off a little, but significantly less this time. Okay. So I can start a jump at any time, and it looks pretty nice. I think I do need to speed up the transition, though. It's over-exaggerated. I should probably not pick a random frame, but a frame that makes sense. When looping back, but still, yeah, overall this looks pretty good. It's a smooth transition. No matter where, like I'm going to try and start this next jump when the legs are fully extended. 3, 2, 1. And the legs smoothly pull inwards, rather than instantly teleporting. Like, just for comparison, let's look at what happens when they instantly teleport. Let's knock over my microphone. Let's do that. Okay. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. It's a lot less smooth of an animation. But with a bit of crossfade, it transitions smoothly. So that's definitely progress. I think I might have to go back to Blender though and update the animation because if we're going to crossfade, and also for other reasons, this whole several frames of wind-up one, two, three, four, five, 6 frames of wind-up isn't really cutting it, and also the wind-up is not even exaggerated. You know what, let's start with exaggerating the wind-up. Something like that. Oh. Okay, something like that, maybe. Let's do a... I may need to edit the length of this animation, but... Okay. Really duck down here. Because it's all just too subtle. There, that's just a little bit less subtle. So... Well, okay, let's not stop at just a little bit. Let's... Two frames. Wait a minute. Why is not everything selected? Oh, some of them are invisible. That's what. So we're going to shorten this. Because we've always needed to shorten it. Actually, question. What if we started with this? I don't think that works. Yeah, we'll hold off on that. So we're going to give this new animation a try. And currently I don't think there's any chance we notice the difference because of the transition. But if we sped the transition up, there's a slight chance. Oh no. Did I... Oh. I hard-coded the length. Which I should not have done. Well, I guess I should have. Oh, and now I need to cut a few frames off the end. Yeah, the transition is still getting in the way. I don't know if that's too many milliseconds. You can only barely see the duck down motion. And it's easy to get confused for just more of the running motion. Let's do a very, very, very fast transition. Yeah, I think we might have to settle for the very, very, very fast transition. Just enough that you can see the limbs pull into place rather than teleport into place. And also just enough that you can see a hint of ducking down before jumping. Yeah. Uh, every time I have remade the old games, I've brought all the latest improvements, and this is going to be no exception. I'm going to try and bring as many lessons and improvements from the development of Run 3 as I can. Yeah, the one thing about this, which I guess is to be determined later, but even a few milliseconds of warming up for the jump is a delay that I don't know if it makes sense. Let's see. I think there was something else for the... Well, I guess the something else for the transitions is coding. This code, the stuff I have selected, is very much temporary. It's not going to fit into the physics of the game. So we have a jump. Okay, so yeah, while the jump trajectory, I'm going to need to make some code. So while the jump trajectory is active, we play the jump animation, and then when it stops being active, we play the run animation. Oh, actually, no. We don't have to do that yet. So, kind of like in the previous one, or like all of the games, the falling animation is just part of the jumping animation. Oh, but I think I do have to hard code it because it is... Where's Blender? Blender. The falling animation starts on frame, I don't know, about 46, and then goes to 57. So between 46 and 57. And I will have to update those numbers by hand. Actually, no, I need to break it up all the way. So jumping goes up to 46, and then we transition it to falling, and then to landing. Okay, I'm just going to copy-paste code. jump, fall, land, and then back to running. So what I've just done here is I've decided that this section here, squat, jump, rise up to here is considered jumping. Then after this is falling instead. And then after this, it's landing. And after landing, we go back to running. But it plays those animations separately because sometimes you walk off an edge, and when you walk off the edge, you skip the jump part of the animation. You just do this, and you fall. And that's it. That's kind of how it's always been, and I don't actually see a reason to change that because it's always worked pretty nicely. So I need to figure out the timing. The time, I don't know. $600, 400, maybe 3 and 3. But I actually do need to split this out into a named function. Okay. What I've just coded is, again, very temporary, but proof of concept. Oh. Okay, we're gonna fix the crash, and then we have proof of concept of well, weird. Okay. More bugs than I was hoping for, but jump, fall, land, run. So let's just double check. Land. Shouldn't be skipping parts of the animation. Okay, so it's just that the jump animation is too long, and I think the fall animation is too short. I am just guessing at these lengths, so expect pauses, but hey, the pauses show you where the animations leave off. So this frame, as long as I'm holding space, landing won't happen, as if falling through a much longer distance. It's important to be able to stop and Okay, something's off about the landing animation. So, I don't know, let's just leave the landing animation running for longer and see if that does anything. Huh. We're back to having these weird flashes of the wrong frame. I thought that was fixed. It's literally just the landing animation. Okay, let's play the landing animation like 3 times in a row. I mean, it does teleport, but then we're kind of asking for that. No? Okay, is it the falling animation that's the problem? So, we fall, and after this, when I let go of space, it's instantly going to transition to running instead of landing. Maybe, like, is that any better? And then there's a delay where it jumps. Ignore the jump after the transition. No, that's not quite it either. Let's give it a transition. Well, I'm not sure that fixed the underlying issue, but it sure covered it up. So, I'll take it. And now let's see if we can remove the pause a little bit. Okay, there's still a pause, but At some point, I will figure out a way to not have it pause like that. Just always get the duration correct. And I mean, that's close. I still need to figure out how to do like actual elasticity of have the body compress on landing, because it currently doesn't, and I'm working around it, but that won't be good enough forever. But that's not for tonight. Have I ever used Unity? I have, in fact. It's not bad. It does things well. It's definitely easier to use for beginners. It wouldn't be having all the problems that Away 3D is having, that I'm having to work around. But I've decided to go open source. Just, among other things, just to prove that it's possible. At this point, I have finally gotten to the point where everything that's going into the game was made in an open source program, which means that anyone can do this, regardless of ability to afford dealing. You don't have to deal with student licenses. It's just get the program's free. The trick is that open source programs are harder to use, like the stuff tonight, the weird bugginess. Open source program is free, it's supported by volunteers. The volunteers didn't fix all the little things, so I have to fix them or work around them or something. So it's a little harder, by which I mean a lot harder what I'm doing, because I'm working with 3D engines and doing fancy things with them. But I'm attempting to make it easier. I fixed several things in order to get this model to load and the animation to play, and I submitted those fixes via GitHub. And I think the person maintaining it is busy right now, but when he gets back, that'll be available for everyone to use. And even before that, you can grab my version of it with my fixes, because it's well, if you know how to use Git. How did I learn coding and developing games? Practice. I mean, I went through. I took some courses for both coding and game design, and then I did both of those things in college, dual majored. But honestly, that was kind of bonus. Where I really learned, game design was an old platformer game, Flash, where you could submit levels, so sort of olden day Mario Maker, before Mario Maker was a thing. And I submitted levels and got feedback, and I improved. I learned how to balance, how to keep the game moving, and just practiced. And then for coding, I took courses, but most of what I've learned about coding, I did by doing on my own. Web searches and all that. Why did I want to create games? Well, I just kind of did. It appealed to me. There's just the idea of I put in the effort and I made a thing that was previously only in my imagination. Was nowadays I'm used to it, but at the time it was a big deal and it felt awesome. And I very quickly got hooked. I'm absolutely planning to finish the story in Run 3, but first, Run 1 and Run 2 need to be converted to HTML5, and honestly, these updates to the 3D engine that I'm working on are going to be pretty crucial for fixing bugs in Run 3, too. There are just things in Run 3 that are currently blocking, the story that has already been released is not all done. So, I need the bug fixes in order to bring the story up to date. What's already been released in Flash, I need to get it working in HTML5. And once those bug fixes are in and the story is up to date, then I can keep moving. You want a realistic tunnel. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Very little about the game is truly realistic. Realistic map. I'm also not sure what you mean by that. But feel free to clarify and I'll try to answer the question. That said, I think with this, I'm about done with what I can reasonably do on stream. Next up is sitting down and coding for a couple hours. And I figure I'll do those couple hours of coding off stream. So anyway, thanks for tuning into the surprise stream. Why are characters so expensive? Well, long answer. The short answer is because the game isn't done yet. And when the game is completed, there will be, well, the entire shop is not done. For now, it's just to, I guess, make the game last longer. There's something that does take a long time to get. Does the child's balloon have to do with microwaves from the wormhole? No, I'm afraid not. Does the balloon have to do with anything else? Maybe not. Not specifically. Does anything else have to do with microwaves from the wormhole? No, not really. In terms of waves, maybe microwaves are a thing, but they aren't really relevant. The most relevant type of wave is the light wave, because that's how you see things. Visible light, pretty important. I get if there was an electromagnetic wave other than light waves, it would probably be radio waves. I've never said that the wormhole emits microwaves, so I'm not actually sure where that came from. I do think the only other type of wave that's been electromagnetic wave that's been mentioned in game have been radio. How did they get in? I've been toying with the idea of answering that via cutscene, but for a mysterious non-answer, which you're probably used to by now, I will answer by accident. Yes, microwaves, radio waves, gamma waves, there are all kinds of electromagnetic waves, which is... I was just saying that microwaves have not, as far as I recall, come up yet. And the only types of similar waves that have come up are visible light and radio. Boiling water. Of course you're used to them. I'm trying to be a little more open, but there are certain topics, especially when the planet comes up, I just have to be very careful what I say, because I think there's a slippery slope. When you start realizing things, there are a lot of pieces that you can put together, and I don't want to stop you from doing that, but I do want it to happen when the planet is in sight. So, because I don't want you to. Basically, it's a timing thing. For truly big revelations, I don't want you to have to stew over them for years on end. I have no idea how to fix Kongbot, other than if the admins have time, like Congregate admins, they can manually fix it. But there are not that many admins, and there are a lot of high scores. Yeah, as I was saying, someday we will be close to release, and I will give actual useful information about some of these questions. Interesting. My mouse is off the main screen, but you can still see it in the stream. But you can't see the stuff that's on this next screen over. Anyway, that is not relevant. Yeah, it's been... Well, the stream's over an hour now. Definitely not my shortest stream. So, I will see you later. Hopefully not miss any stream days, but it does depend on whether I have something good to stream. So. Oh, yeah. One last answer. Starting to wonder if it's actually water, the child's balloon. It is water. Primarily H2O. Trace amounts of various other things. Like it's not necessarily distilled water. But water, dihydrogen monoxide, hydrogen hydroxide, whatever you want to call it. With that, bye.